What up, my channel? Welcome back to another video. I'm Jessie E. This is Ravenclaw, and you're watching So on the first of every month, I will be gathering information surrounding new releases of books and comics, as well as book-related movies. I'll also be talking to you about all the readathons that are going on in the month, as well as talking about big news among our fellow booktubers. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Image Comics is finally ready to release Blackbirds, which is a highly anticipated neo-noir fantasy written by Sam Humphries and gorgeously illustrated by Jen Bartel. Blackbird drops on October 3rd and is about Nina Rodriguez, who discovers that her city of LA is full of magic and mythical creatures. It's a comic coming-of-age story full of beauty and illustrated in a way that rivals the wicked and the divine. I'm going nuts over the character art and the coloring provided by Triona Farrell. It looks like the perfect witchy character-driven series that has arrived just in time for fall. And although I'm not a fan of DC Comics, I am super stoked for the debut of Heroes in Crisis #1, which dropped on September 26th of 2018. It's a limited comic book series where world-famous DC superheroes are checked into a hospital called Sanctuary, a place for superheroes to be treated for PTSD. And of course, after patients are murdered, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman are dispatched to find the killer, who they suspect to be Harley Quinn. I'm really excited for this comic where superheroes can explore the post-traumatic stress symptoms that they have acquired as a result of crime fighting. And I think that if it's written well, it can potentially be a way to destigmatize mental health in the public eye. Marcus Zuzak, infamous writer of The Book Thief, drops his latest novel, Bridge of Clay, on October 9th. It's an epic of 5 unique brothers coping with the disappearance of their father. And apparently Marcus has been writing this book for years. You can find comments on Goodreads going back to 2011, and it makes sense that he took so much time to write it. It's reported to be like 544 pages long. This plot has been kept quite secretive, but apparently Clay is one of the 5 brothers, and the story is about this bridge that he builds that has some sort of connection to his family. It's classified as a YA novel, and as someone who's been increasingly disappointed by the young adult fiction produced in 2018, I'm super excited to get my hands on this book and finally be entrenched in masterful storytelling that doesn't shy away from details. There's 2 very famous book-to-movie adaptations coming out in October that I want to talk about. The first is The Hate U Give, based on the 2017 young adult fiction novel by Angie Thomas. The movie stars talented actor Amandla Stenberg and is scheduled to drop on October 19th. Now, the early reviews for this movie I've creeped upon, and they're absolutely fantastic, which isn't surprising because even the trailer gives me chills. I personally haven't read The Hate U Give. I picked up the book when it came out in 2017 and stood looking at it in Barnes & Noble for probably 4 minutes before finally putting it back down. Police shooting of unarmed Black men is a close personal subject for me, and I've never been confident in my ability to finish this book without opening myself up to hurt that I'm not yet ready to unpack. That being said, I have absolute confidence in the acting abilities of Amandla, and it's also comforting that the fantastic writer Issa Rae is going to be starring in the movie beside her. So the final trailer for Fantastic Beasts finally dropped, leading to a lot of controversy over the casting for Voldemort's infamous pet snake, Nagini. In the upcoming movie, Nagini will be taking the human form of South Korean actress Soo Yeon, whose name I probably just butchered and for which I am deeply sorry. J.K. Rowling responded to criticism saying that Nagini is based off of Indonesian mythology and therefore it is completely appropriate for her to be cast as an Asian woman. Now, the idea that Asian identities are so similar that they're interchangeable for each other, quite frankly, I find a little disturbing. Of course, this is an example of typecasting, but it would also be inappropriate to cast a non-Asian individual in this role because it would send the message that an Asian individual isn't good enough to play a character that is literally based in Indonesian mythology. It's not so much about Nagini being cast as an Asian woman, which yes, is problematic in its own way, but I think it's more about J.K. Rowling and the producers only allowing people of color to be included in the Harry Potter universe when the role is racialized in some way. Yes, we have extremely minute characters like Angela and the Patel sisters whose roles weren't racialized, but they also weren't very central to the story, were they? I love J.K. Rowling for everything that she's given our generation, but I still think that we can celebrate Harry Potter while also acknowledging that J.K. Rowling has only ever seen fit to include people of color and queer characters in her books retroactively. Think about 2007 when, after the books were done, she said that Dumbledore was gay. It's a fantastic way for being hailed as someone who provides queer representation without actually having to do the labor of writing those characters directly into your story. Now, this doesn't mean that I think J.K. Rowling is shitty. I just think that, like all of us, she's problematic in her own way, and we have to recognize that. We can still love J.K. Rowling's work while also acknowledging its limitations. There are so many fantastic readathons happening in October. I've made a list of all the ones that I heard about, and I'm super excited to deliver them. The Unfortunate Series readathon is going to be happening all month, and if you're looking for a fun, light-hearted readathon to participate in, this is definitely the one. The books in the Unfortunate Series are easy to obtain and cheap, and plus the group participating in the readathon are all really sweet. Boo to Your Readathon also runs all month, so there's plenty of time to join in. It's a Disney and Halloween themed readathon, which quite frankly sounds amazing. And there's going to be 4 different challenges to choose from. Booktuber is for lovers of Victorian literature. It's being hosted by Lucy the Reader, and I believe that this runs all month as well, which is going to be a fantastic excuse to get to those Bronte books that many of us never cared about in high school. For Tolkien lovers, there is Tolkien, which is being hosted by Stephen Donahue and Justin over at Ghost Reader. I wasn't able to find concrete dates for this, but they're reading quite a few of his books, so I have a feeling that this is going to be going along all month as well. The next one I'm super excited about. It's called Book in the Freezer, and the readathon is being hosted by YouTuber Stephanie over at That's What She Read and Rachel over at Shades of Orange. Apparently, Books in the Freezer is this well-known podcast that covers horror books and thrillers that I'm really sad I didn't know about until today, pretty much. I just started following the That's What She Read YouTube, partially because, yes, of the amazingly punny name, and also because of her TBR for the Books in the Freezer readathon. It's absolutely amazing, and we seem to have a lot of the same taste in books. Her TBR for this includes The Ballad of Black Tom, which is written by Victor LaValle, the writer of my favorite comic book series, Destroyer. Then there's also Spookathon, which runs from October 15th to October 21. It has simple, uncomplicated reading prompts that I think will be easy to find books to fill, and it comes right before Witchathon, which takes place between October 24th and October 31st. It has 7 really exciting challenges, and I know a lot of well-known booktubers are going to be participating in it for this year. I really appreciated the profundity and magic of this marathon, so if you prefer marathons that are explorative and magical in nature, this is definitely going to be the one for you. I'm going to wrap up this video with Booktuber news, and I want to discuss 3 videos that came out in September. Katie at Katie's Cuddly Book World produced a video on September 15th about basic shaming. The video was about society's tendency to punish girls who find solidarity and bonding over a shared interest. Examples of this would be autumn or pumpkin spice lattes. It's a way of simultaneously punishing girls who enjoy simple pleasures while also highlighting girls whose tastes are more exclusive. I love this video for highlighting the clever ways in which dominant culture separates and divides women while reinforcing stereotypes that suffocate men and erasing non-binary individuals. But this applies to our book selections too, doesn't it? I felt twinges of embarrassment over reading Crazy Rich Asians for its elaborate descriptions of lavish wealth, even though the content of the book is anything but frivolous when you begin to examine it. And I'm sure many of us as booktubers have avoided reading or talking about a popular book that we've read simply because the book wasn't complex and multifaceted. Another video that really stood out to me was published on September 6th by SelectPages. She talked about feeling lost on Booktube. She feels like her own content isn't getting the appreciation that it deserves while she watches booktubers who've been on the platform for less start to grow in ways that her channel has never grown. Feeling incredibly invalidated by our community, she posted this video in which she begins to question whether or not she actually belongs here. And while I would posit that the issue of her popularity is actually due to factors well out of her control, I want to respond by talking about why we read. And by we, I mean all of us. Look, it's no secret that I am the black sheep of my family. On top of that, I didn't fit in at school being queer, non-binary, black, Mexican, and incredibly shy. I was the black kid who listened to Tool. And sometimes I would come home after track practice and find popular girls from my school sitting in the living room and smoking weed with my brother. I wouldn't be invited to parties that took place at my own house. I talk about all of this because that is the reason that I read. I started reading when I was 6 because it was the only time that I ever truly felt safe. And although it's been 20 years and much of that history is behind me, reading is still the only time I can ever truly escape it. And my story isn't unique. Many of us on Booktube grew up being ostracized, and I need us to remember that. We came here because this was the last place where we had any hope of being accepted. And there is no shame for wanting your videos to be watched, for wanting to make friends on Booktube, and for wanting your work to be recognized on this platform. Our natural instinct whenever we hear someone complaining about their popularity or lack of growth is to immediately turn our backs and shut them down. But who knows their own discrimination better than the individual who's actually experiencing it? Lastly, Read with Cindy posted a video that provided commentary about consumerism on Booktube. This video came out yesterday and it talks about the extreme pressure to have palatial bookshelves that are filled with bookish finery. And I just want to mention her video to remind y'all again why we're here. None of that is what this is about, and I know that it's easier said than done, but please try to remember that when you're reading, you are doing what you love, and you cannot allow capitalism to take that away from you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be making these on the 1st of every month. Links to everything I have referenced will be posted in the description box below, and that's it. I guess I will see you tomorrow in my next video.